This video is about the superhero Superman and presents him on covers of Action Comics, starting with issue number 1, published in 1938, followed by covers published in the Silver Age of comic books, which was from 1956 to 1970, then finishing with Superman's most recent appearances in 2025 as an adult. The covers are all presented in chronological order. As the covers go by, lots of fascinating information is provided, but is not intended to correspond to the specific cover being shown. The purpose of the video is to show what Superman initially looked like versus what he looked like during a period of him evolving to a more serious character versus what he currently looks like, and to ask the viewer their thoughts about the future of Superman in movies. Topics that information will be provided about include the Action Comics comic book series, the origin of DC Comics, the different ages of comic books, the creators of Superman, the origin of Superman, the origin of Lois Lane, the origin of Supergirl, Action Comics during the Silver Age of comic books, Superman on TV and in movies, the upcoming Superman movie with a July 11, 2025 release date, and future Superman movies after the 2025 movie. Action Comics also featured stories about other characters, such as Zatara, a magician and father of the future character, his daughter, Zatanna. Superman continued to appear in Action Comics, and in a relatively short time, he also dominated in regards to cover appearances. Action Comics is published by DC Comics, a subsidiary of DC Entertainment, which is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Action Comics is still being published, and in 2025, it is changing its focus from the adult version of Superman to when he was younger. DC stands for Detective Comics, which was first published in 1937. DC Comics can trace its origin back to 1935, and entrepreneur Major Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson founding National Allied Publications to be a comic book publisher. The publication of comic books can be broken down into 4 ages, starting with the Golden Age of comic books in 1938, with the publication of Action Comics number 1, which contained the first appearance of Superman, and ending in 1956. During this time period, the popularity of comic books exploded, and many different genres were published, such as crime, horror, jungle girls, science fiction, superhero, war, and Western. Also during this time period, the interest in superheroes decreased. Plus, towards the end of this time period, concern over content and the imposition of the Self-Censorship Comics Code Authority contributed to the demise of many titles and the toning down of others. The Silver Age of comic books was from 1956 to 1970 and started with the first appearance of a new version of The Flash and a resurgence in the popularity of superheroes. The Bronze Age of comic books was from 1970 to 1985 and featured the introduction of darker and more realistic comic books. The modern age of comic books started in 1985 and continues on through the present day, and featured the redesigning of many characters. Creators gained prominence, independent publishers flourished, and large publishers became more commercialized. Superman was born on the fictional planet Krypton and was named Kal-El. As a baby, his parents sent him to Earth in a small spaceship moments before Krypton was destroyed in a natural cataclysm. His spaceship landed in the American countryside near the fictional town of Smallville. He was found and adopted by farmers Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent, who named him Clark Kent. Clark is revealed to have various superhuman abilities, such as incredible strength and impervious skin. His adoptive parents advised him to use his abilities for the benefit of humanity, and he decides to fight crime. In Action Comics #1, Superman could not fly. He traveled by running and leaping, which he could do to a prodigious degree thanks to his strength. Superman can fly faster than sound, and in some stories can even fly faster than the speed of light to distant galaxies. Some other powers he has are X-ray vision, heat vision, super hearing, and super breath. Superman is vulnerable to kryptonite. Green kryptonite radiation nullifies Superman's powers and incapacitates him with pain and nausea, and prolonged exposure will eventually kill him. There are also other forms of kryptonite, such as red, gold, blue, white, and black, each with peculiar effects. To protect his personal life, he changes into a colorful costume and uses the alias Superman when fighting crime. Clark resides in the fictional American city of Metropolis, where he works as a journalist for the Daily Planet. Superman's supporting characters include his love interest and fellow journalist Lois Lane, Daily Planet photographer Jimmy Olsen, and editor-in-chief Perry White. And his enemies include Brainiac and his arch-enemy Lex Luthor. Superman is the quintessential example of the superhero archetype. He wears an outlandish costume, uses a code name, and fights evil with the aid of extraordinary abilities. Although there are earlier characters who arguably fit this description, it was Superman who popularized the superhero genre and established its conventions. He was the best-selling superhero in American comic books up until the 1980s. Lois Lane is a DC Comics character and was created by writer Jerry Siegel and artist Joe Shuster, who also created Superman. And she first appeared in Action Comics #1 in 1938. Lois Lane is an award-winning journalist for the Metropolis newspaper, The Daily Planet, and the primary love interest of the superhero Superman and his alter ego Clark Kent, and at times a female superhero. Lois Lane's physical appearance was originally based on Joanne Carter, a model hired by artist Joe Shuster. For her character, writer Jerry Siegel was inspired by actress Glenda Farrell's portrayal of the fictional reporter Torchy Blaine in a series of films. Siegel took her name from actress Lois Lane. She was also influenced by real-life journalist Nellie Bly. Depictions of Lois Lane have varied, spanning the comics and other media adaptations. The original Golden Age version of Lois Lane, as well as versions of her from the 1970s onwards, depicted her as a dauntless journalist and intellectually equal to Superman. Supergirl is a DC Comics female superhero and made her first appearance in Action Comics number 252 in 1959 and was created by writer Otto Binder and artist Al Plastino. Created as a female counterpart to Superman, Supergirl, also known as Kara Zor-El, shares his superpowers and vulnerability to kryptonite. The reaction to Supergirl's first appearance was tremendous, with thousands of positive letters pouring into DC Comics. I will now review one version of Supergirl's origin and history. Supergirl, like her cousin Superman, is a Kryptonian. Supergirl is a survivor of Argo City, which had survived the explosion of the planet Krypton and drifted through space. The city had been covered by a plastic dome for weather moderation devised by Zor-El, a climatologist and engineer, and also the younger brother of Superman's father, Jor-El. The dome held together a large chunk of landmass under the city as it drifted through space in the general direction of Earth's solar system. However, the bottommost layers of bedrock were affected by the explosion of Krypton and slowly and steadily turned into green kryptonite, which can kill Kryptonians. Using raw deposits and refined materials at hand, the residents of Argo City laid down a ground shield of lead foil to protect them from the developing green kryptonite. Zor-El created a makeshift propulsion system to try to accelerate the city's approach to Earth's solar system. During the roughly 30 years Argo City traveled through space, Zor-El met and married Allura, daughter of In-Z, who then gave birth to their daughter Kara, who was blonde like her parents and later became Supergirl. Before the propulsion system was able to steer the city towards Earth, a deranged citizen named Jerem, who was suffering from survival guilt, damaged the exhaust, veering Argo towards a swarm of meteoroids crashed into the underside of the landmass on which it rested. As the inhabitants of Argo were being killed by the green kryptonite radiation released from meteorites shredding the lead barrier, the adolescent Kara was sent to Earth in a rocket to be raised by her cousin Kal-El, also known as Clark Kent and as Superman. On Earth, she gains powers identical to those of Superman and adopts the secret identity of Linda Lee, a resident of Midvale Orphanage. Later, she is both adopted and known as Linda Lee Danvers and gradually functions as Supergirl. For Action Comics, during the Silver Age of comic books from 1956 to 1970, under editor Mort Weisinger, Action Comics saw an expansion of Superman's mythology. Mort Weisinger retired from DC Comics in 1970, and his last issue was Action Comics number 392, and Murray Boltinoff became the editor. Writer Jerry Coleman and artist Wayne Boring created the Fortress of Solitude in Action Comics number 241 in 1958. Writer Otto Binder and artist Al Plastino debuted the villain Brainiac in the Bottle City of Kandor in the next issue the following month. Generally, the size of the issues decreased. The publisher was reluctant to increase the original cover price from 10 cents and instead decreased the number of stories. For a while, Congo Bill and Tommy Tomorrow were the two features in addition to Superman. Supergirl made her debut appearance in Action Comics number 252 in 1959. Following this debut appearance, Supergirl adopted the secret identity of an orphan, Linda Lee, and made Midvale Orphanage her base of operations. In Action Comics number 261 in 1960, her pet cat Streaky was introduced by writer Jerry Siegel and artist Jim Mooney. Supergirl joined the Legion of Superheroes in Action Comics number 276 in 1961. She acted for 3 years as Superman's secret weapon until her existence was revealed in Action Comics number 285 in 1962. Bizarro World first appeared in Action Comics number 262 in 1960. Superman has been adapted to a number of other media, which includes radio serials, novels, movies, TV shows, and theater. On live-action TV, Superman has been portrayed by George Reeves, Dean Cain, and Tyler Hoechlin. In live-action movies, Superman has been portrayed by Kirk Alyn, George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, Brandon Routh, and Henry Cavill. And in the 2025 Superman movie, will be portrayed by David Cornsweet. In a future live-action Superman movie, you want one or more co-stars, such as Batgirl, the Cassandra Cain version, Batgirl, the Barbara Gordon version, Batman, Black Canary, Catwoman, Flash, Harley Quinn, Huntress, Lois Lane, Power Girl, Starfire, Supergirl, Wonder Woman, or Zatanna. If so, are there any male or female actors that you want involved, and as which character or characters? Do you have one or more enemies that you want confronted, and if so, who? Do you have any movie plot ideas? More videos like this one, short and longer, can be viewed at the Comic Excitement Convention DC Comics playlist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and click the notifications bell.